This has been the tradition in sports. When you have a star this big that people are jealous of and people are angry at.
Last night, Caitlin Clark finally got the justice she had been waiting for as her team faced the Lynx in a critical deciding match. Marina Mabrey, who had tried to confront Clark 2 weeks earlier, ended up receiving a sharp slap, delivering the long-awaited moment of payback fans had been expecting. During the game, Mabrey was visibly upset, yelling at herself on the court and showing her frustration as she struggled to cope with the intensity of the match.
Caitlin Clark needs to fight back. You know what would happen if she fought back in a real way? Caitlin Clark is not a punk, but she's also smart enough to know it would lead to a collapse of the league.
Caitlin Clark ultimately received her long-awaited justice against the players who had attempted to catch her off guard earlier. Marina Mabrey was not the only one who had to deal with the aftermath, as others also found themselves facing consequences. After Dejonai Carrington poked Caitlin Clark during the altercation, she was immediately knocked down by another Lynx player, shifting the momentum in a dramatic fashion.
Want to tell me with a straight face there's no agenda against Caitlin Clark? With a straight face. They're not targeting her, right? The WNBA is going to have to figure this out. The NBA figured out in the 80s to early 90s, they got to get rid of all that physical play. That's not a good product. That's not putting butts in the seats like scoring. By the way, that was not even a flagrant foul. But in the same breath, they want to call Aaliyah Boston for every single touch foul.
The Sun players are now experiencing what many see as long overdue retaliation. Those who had been playing aggressively clearly seemed uncomfortable once the situation flipped in the opposite direction. Dejonai Carrington appeared close to losing her composure, but her teammates stepped in quickly to hold her back, much like what happened earlier with Marina Mabrey. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark is at home observing it all unfold, as events play out in a way many are calling poetic justice.
It's like, hey man, your meal ticket is under constant attack. There's been dirty plays all season. And again, I've admitted, some of them have been exaggerated. It's just typical rough play with girls. But there are some that it's just been dirty. And Dejonai is one of these people that has a real problem with Caitlin Clark.
Aggressive play is often defended as a sign of competitive drive. But in her case, it has repeatedly gone too far, sparking concerns among fans, analysts, and even fellow players about her level of sportsmanship. The growing tension eventually reached a breaking point in a widely discussed incident where she found herself on the receiving end of what many described as harsh karma, a hard and controversial fall delivered by a Minnesota Lynx player during a highly anticipated matchup against the Minnesota Lynx.
You had people fighting tooth and nail the entire season, not wanting it to be this way because other people weren't getting flowers, or she was getting too much attention, or she gets a special whistle, or I'm gonna check her off the ball here just because.
The fall left Marina Mabrey clutching her face, clearly in pain and emotionally shaken. Her cries on the court revealed a side of vulnerability that sharply contrasted with her usual persona as a fierce, relentless competitor. This incident struck a chord with many spectators, marking what felt like a pivotal moment in the game. Mabrey had earned a reputation for pushing the limits of acceptable play, often straddling the line between intense competitiveness and unsportsmanlike behavior. Now, as she writhed in anguish, fans saw her confronting the consequences of her actions, a powerful reminder that aggressive tactics can sometimes backfire with equally severe repercussions.
I get sad when I talk about this a little bit in that we're still not talking about basketball.
No.
We're still not allowed to be focused on for our basketball play.
What made this moment even more striking was the context behind it. Just a few months earlier, Marina Mabrey had been involved in a widely publicized confrontation with Caitlin Clark, a top-tier player celebrated for her skill and poise under pressure. During that matchup, Mabrey's aggressive approach drew heavy criticism, with many accusing her of intentionally attempting to disrupt Clark's rhythm through physical plays that teetered on the edge of fouls. Although Clark maintained her composure throughout the incident, it was evident to viewers that Mabrey had crossed the line. At the time, it seemed she would face no real consequences, until now.
22-year-old Caitlin Clark, who has single-handedly changed the game, brought in millions of other young fans, old fans. How about the ratings in college basketball for her? Record ratings And now, in her very short WNBA career, shattering records. Isn't that a win for everybody? Yes, black players too, regardless of race, regardless of who they choose to sleep with. Like, what are we doing? And
the fall that Marina Mabrey suffered during the game against the Minnesota Lynx was widely seen as the universe finally restoring balance. Having spent much of her career testing the boundaries of acceptable play, Mabrey was now faced with the consequences of her own actions. The hit acted as a stark reminder that in basketball and in life, your choices inevitably catch up with you, affecting you both physically and emotionally.
Yes, I followed through and I hit her, so obviously it's never intentional. That's not even like the type of player that I am.
In the game, they caught you guys laughing about it?
No, I just told you I didn't even know I hit her.
The hit went far beyond a simple physical impact. It carried a profound symbolic significance. For years, Marina Mabrey had been able to play aggressively without facing major consequences, but in this moment, she was forced to reckon with the reality of her actions. The fall wasn't just a physical strike. It sent a clear message that her reckless style had finally caught up with her. The pain she felt was as emotional as it was physical, clearly reflected in her intense, visceral reaction on the court.
Caitlin Clark get poked in the eye. Caitlin said in media after that, that was accidental, that was unintentional, but we saw reporters gaslighting that situation, trying to make more of it, speaking to amplifying the wrong narratives. As a result of that, Dejanay Carrington posted getting threats based off of an incident that Caitlin Clark said this was a basketball type of thing. I pushed through, we played a game, she played a good game after that. So she minimized it, tried to erase it, and tried to send a message like, y'all, there's nothing here. That was one incident.
Dejanay Carrington to the game also faced consequences for her actions. She had previously made headlines after giving Caitlin Clark a black eye during a match, an act widely perceived as a deliberate and unsportsmanlike tactic. This incident left a visible mark and sparked serious questions about how far players might go to gain an advantage on the court. The aftermath of her actions fueled debates on sportsmanship and the ethical limits of competition, drawing intense scrutiny from both fans and analysts as they examined the changing dynamics of the sport.
And through the rest of the game, yes. Yeah, obviously got me pretty good in the eye. I don't think it affected me. Honestly, I felt like I got good shots. They just didn't go down. And obviously a tough time for that to happen.
The fall on Caitlin Clark was far from accidental. Many saw it as a deliberate move by Dejanay Carrington to throw one of the league's top performers off her game. Up to that point, Clark had been dominating, but the hit visibly shook her. The black eye she suffered came to symbolize the increasingly physical and aggressive style of play in the WNBA. Fans voiced their outrage, calling for stricter penalties against players who engage in such unsportsmanlike behavior, emphasizing the league's urgent need for reform.
Carrington should be suspended. It's criminal that there was no flagrant call here. She should be she should be given a flagrant 2 today, and it should be announced she'll be suspended for game 2. They got to protect Caitlin. They got to protect their meal ticket. And I don't care if the race baiters don't like it and, they're just defending. They should be defending Caitlin.
Caitlin Clark has firmly established herself as a dominant force in the WNBA, repeatedly targeted by aggressive players like Marina Mabrey and Dejanay Carrington. Despite enduring fouls and emotional challenges, she maintained her composure, letting her skills speak for themselves. The physical and mental demands of the game led her to take a well-deserved break, exploring Europe and reflecting on the season. Her absence has created a noticeable void, impacting viewership and league engagement. Fans eagerly await her return in 2025, hopeful it will revitalize the WNBA and inspire meaningful changes. Clark's impact on women's basketball continues to grow, solidifying her status as a pivotal figure in the sport.